Madani life of the last Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Madani life of the last Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, in the previous episode, we heard about the conquest of Makkah. And in today's program, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, we're going to hear about the sermon of Hajjatul Wada, as to what its status is in human history and how it was the first worldwide charter of the rights of people and what its principles were. But before proceeding further, let's listen to the excellence of reading Durood-e-Pak. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has said, "Blessing is not granted in the task before which Allah Almighty is not praised, and salat is not recited upon me. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam." My dear viewers of Madani Channel, Hajj was declared obligatory in 9th Hijri. And amongst all incidents of the 10th Hijri, the most splendid and most important event is Hajjatul Wada. It was the first Hajj of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and was also the last Hajj of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Sometimes after this event, in other words, after the Hajj, the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam veiled from this dunya. This Hajj is given different names: Hajjatul Wada, Hajjatul Tamam, Hajjatul Balagh, and Hajjatul Islam. In these days, meaning during the days of Hajj, in the speeches which the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam made at different places, he said, "In this place, this is our last meeting. After this, you will not get a chance." In these sermons, he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam has bidden farewell to this ummah. Therefore, this Hajj is called Hajjatul Wada. Insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, the reason behind the rest of the names will be stated later in the program. After the migration, this was the first Hajj of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, whereas it was also the last Hajj of his blessed life. In Zulqa'dah, 10th Hijri, he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam announced his departure for Hajj. As soon as the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam announced this, the news spread like lightning throughout Arabia. As the month of Hajj was drawing near, the restlessness and eagerness in the feelings of love and fondness were constantly increasing. Finally, that lively and delightful moment came, and the people started to tighten their saddles for Hajj. The devotees of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam began to gather to see the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam and to perform Hajj with him. During the days of Hajj, a huge crowd of the holy companions was blessed with the eternal honor of performing Hajj with the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Regarding the numbers of holy companions, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een, Sayyidina Jabir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu states, "When I raised my eyes and saw, I would see a jungle of people as far as I could see around me." Allahu Akbar. This is the narration of Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullah alayh, that 114,000, and in another narration 124,000 Muslims were present with Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam in Hajjatul Wada. On this occasion, the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam delivered the historic and extraordinary sermons in Mina and Arafat. The collection of these sermons is called the Sermon of Hajjatul Wada. The Sermon of Hajjatul Wada possesses the status of a worldwide charter of the rights of the people in human history. Before the Sermon of Hajjatul Wada, no such superb and high principles for the welfare of humanity were set in any human society or civilization. The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam eliminated all the cruel and unfair laws of ignorance and described the principles to establish a strong system in the society, which we may also call the religion Islam in beautiful words. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, if we look at the human history, we do not see a fair document of the rights of people anywhere before the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam is the first and the greatest standard bearer of the rights of people, who erased the discrimination between those who considered inferior and those who were considered superior in the society. He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam gave them complete right to live. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, what were those principles? What was that sermon in which the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam, going beyond the language, racial and geographical discrimination, addressed the entire humanity? That sermon is lengthy, but we'll hear its summary and important points, inshallah azza wa jal. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, the entire world was entangled in the trap of color and race, and even today it is not free from it. The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam crushed the family pride of the age of ignorance, the superiority of color and race, the superiority and inferiority of caste, and the concept of ignorance, etc. He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam eradicated the indecent traditions and evils of ignorance and proclaimed aloud in the plains of Arafat, O people, indeed your Lord is one, and indeed your father Adam alayhi salam is one. Listen, no Arab is superior to a non-Arab, and no non-Arab is superior to an Arab. No white person is superior to a black person, and no black person is superior to a white person, except in piety. Viewers of Madani Channel, this was the time when the human markets used to be held in the world, and the status of a slave was worse than an animal. He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam strengthened that weak class, raised their status and made them equal to other classes, and opened the door of equality for them. He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam said, your slaves belong to you. Feed them what you yourself eat, and give them to wear what you yourself wear. If they commit such an offense which you cannot forgive, ask the bondsmen of Allah Almighty to solve the matter, and do not punish them. When daughters used to be buried alive and throughout the society, the women used to be treated badly, the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam set the rights of women and said, O people, keep fearing Allah Almighty. I advise you to treat women well, because they are dependent on you. They cannot do anything for themselves, and they are the trust of Allah Almighty with you. In the Middle Ages, the period between the 5th century AD and the 16th century AD, the protection of life was extinct. The revenge of a murder would continue from generations to generation. The tribal system of the Arabs itself was entangled in conflicts of ignorance. Contrary to that, He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam made the love for people and compassion and tolerance His identity. On the occasions of the conquest of Makkah, He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam forgave all His mortal enemies. His purpose was to establish such a society where humanity would flourish. Hence, in the sermon of Hajjatul Wada, He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam stated, I declare everything of the age of ignorance invalid, and amongst all murders, the murder which I am forgiving is that of son of Sayyidina Abdul Muttalib, Haris, and his son Rabi'a, who was an infant amongst Banu Sa'd at that time, and the tribe of Huzail murdered him. In the 7th century, when the human was ethically so inferior that even the trust and debts of the people were not safe, the people would make the excuses of losing the trust and debts and would become exempt from paying them. So at that time, the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam set the rights of trust and debts, and by making the Muslims brothers to one another, He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam gave the nation of the world the message of peace till Judgment Day. Hence, He sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam says in his sermon, every Muslim is another Muslim's brother, and all Muslims are brothers to one another. It is compulsory for the person to whom someone has entrusted something to return the trust to its owner. Return to the person what you ask him for. You must return the thing which you have borrowed, and pay off the debt. Upon the guarantor, his guarantee is essential. Dear viewers of Madani Channel, the sermon of Hajjatul Wada is such a worldwide charter of the basic rights of people, which was launched by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Each and every letter of the sermon gives the lesson of justice, brotherhood, equality, honor, respect, and honor of blood, and the freedom of the basic rights of people. This is the summary of the religion Islam. Therefore, this Hajj is called Hajjatul Islam. The rights, guarantees, and freedoms which were given in Hajjatul Wada were not approved by a person, an organization, a group, or by kingdom. Rather, they were launched by Allah Almighty. They were declared obligatory for the entire humanity till Judgment Day. In addition to this, in the sermon which the Holy Prophet ﷺ delivered on the occasion of the conquest of Mecca, he ﷺ raised his voice for the deprived and oppressed humanity. May Allah Almighty enable us to act upon the teachings of the religion of Islam. When the Holy Prophet ﷺ completed his sermon of Hajjatul Wada, he ﷺ said to the audience, وَأَنْتُمْ مَسْئُولُونَ عَنِّي فَمَا أَنْتُمْ قَائِلُونَ. You will be questioned about me in the court of the Lord Azza wa Jal. So what will you answer? All the audience said, we will say to the Lord Azza wa Jal that you sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam have conveyed the message of Allah Almighty to us and have fulfilled the right of prophethood. Hearing this, he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam raised his blessed finger to the sky and said thrice, Allahumma shhad. In other words, O Allah Almighty, bear witness. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, during this Hajj, since all the Muslims acknowledged the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam's preaching of Islam, therefore this Hajj is called Hajjatul Balagh. Exactly in the state when he sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam was describing his duty of prophethood, this verse was revealed. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul Islam deena. Translation from Kanzul Iman. Today I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. This verse regarding the completion of the religion was revealed during Hajjatul Wada in Arafat on Friday after Asr, and it was stated that the rulings of haram and halal and the laws of qiyas, meaning deductive reasoning, all of them had been completed. Therefore, after the revelation of this verse, no verse about the description of halal and haram was revealed. He, meaning Allah Azza wa Jal, said, وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, and I completed my favor upon you. It means by the conquest of Makkah, I completed my favor upon you. The conquest of Makkah was a great bounty of Allah Almighty. He Azza wa Jal, meaning Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, proclaimed, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and have chosen for you Islam as a religion. In other words, I have chosen Islam as a religion for you, then no religion other than this is accepted. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, from the verse, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, we learn many rulings. Number one, only Islam is beloved to Allah Almighty. In other words, the one which is in the form of the religion of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam now. The rest of the religions are unacceptable. Number two, after the revelation of this verse, no ruling of Islam can be annulled till Judgment Day. Number three, the basic of the religion cannot be increased or decreased. Rulings based on ijtihad will always be derived. Number four, nobody can become a prophet after the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, because the religion has been completed. When the sun has risen, there is no need of a lamp. Number five, even if anyone performs hundreds of thousands of good deeds without Islam, he is not beloved to the Lord, because Islam is the root and actions are the branches and the leaves, and after cutting the root, it is useless to water the branches and the leaves. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, in this verse, Allah Almighty stated, today I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you. Since Allah Almighty completed His favor upon the Muslims, therefore this Hajj is also called Hajjatul Tamam. When the completion of everything was declared, it was as if this verse brought the news of passing of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Hence, after the revelation of this verse, he ﷺ remained in this dunya, meaning he remained alive for 81 days, and then veiled from this dunya, meaning he ﷺ passed away. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, after the apparent passing of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Islam was not left helpless because the religion had been completed. Then it needed to be spread. Hence, the holy companions, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een, continued this mission of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. After the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, the duty of preaching the religion has been given to this ummah, because no prophet will come now. Therefore, Allah Almighty has assigned this responsibility to us, that we preach and spread Islam, enjoin good and forbid evil, meaning invite others to good and forbid evil. Hence in the chapter Ali Imran, Allah Almighty proclaims, translation from Kanzul Iman, and there should be such a group amongst you who invite people towards righteousness and commands that which is good and forbid that which is evil, and it is these people who are successful. From this verse, we learn that overall, the preaching of the religion is fard-e kifaya. It contains many forms. For example, writing books, delivering speeches, inviting people to righteousness individually, etc. All these tasks are regarded as the preaching of the religion, and everyone gets its excellence as per his sincerity. There is preaching by words as well as by deeds. And sometimes preaching by deeds is more effective than preaching by words. Remember that where a person has the power to stop an evil, it becomes an absolute fard upon him to stop the evil. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, just gauge the greatness and importance of inviting towards good and forbidding evil from the fact that its clear order has been given in the Holy Quran as well as in the Hadith several times. Hence, Sayyidina Huzaifa ibn Yaman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said, I swear by the one in whose power my soul is, either you will certainly invite towards good and forbid evil, or it is close that Allah Almighty will send His punishment upon you. Then you will supplicate to Him, but your supplications will not be answered. Sayyidina Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said, you will certainly invite towards good and forbid evil, or Allah Almighty will impose evil people on you from amongst you. Then your pious people will make supplication, but it will not be answered. Sayyidina Ali al-Murtaza, karramallahu ta'ala wajhahul kareem, said, inviting towards good and forbidding evil is the best jihad. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, a great source of inviting people towards good and forbidding evil is the Madani Qafila of Dawat Islami. In order to invite towards good and forbidding evil for the pleasure of Allah Almighty and His Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, travel in the Madani Qafilas for 3 days, 12 days, 1 month and 12 months, so that we would also deserve the excellence of those who invite towards good and forbid evil. Allah Almighty helps the one who helps the religion of Allah Almighty. May Allah Almighty enable us to perform good deeds for His pleasure. Ameen bijahin Nabil Ameen sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, in today's episode, we heard about the sermon of Hajjatul Wada, that it possesses the status of the worldwide charter of the rights of people. In the next program, in the next episode, we will discuss the miracles of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Insha'Allah azza wa jal. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Madani life of the last Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Madani life of the last Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.